Here it is that Allah created us. Right? He created us, and He's going to be even more generous to us when we follow in this order of Iqra. Okay? وَرَبُّكَ الْأَكْرَمُ. Then it says, الَّذِي عَلَّمَ بِالْقَلَمِ. If you want to know how generous Allah has been to you, think about it. الَّذِي عَلَّمَ بِالْقَلَمِ. Your Lord is the one who taught. عَلَّمَ بِالْقَلَمِ. Taught you utilizing the pen. Everybody who went to school had to learn how to use what? Al-Qalam. And it said that the pen was the first thing ever created. There's some ikhtilaf in the people of Aqidah, but it's good to say, and it's enough to say that the pen was the first thing created. Why? Because after it was created, Allah said, write down everything that's going to happen, as it be a record of everything else that comes. So it follows sense that Al-Qalam would be the first thing that was created in this issue of ikhtilaf. عَلَّمَ الْإِنسَانَ مَا لَمْ يَعْلَمْ. He created, again, you want to know how generous? He taught all of mankind مَا لَمْ يَعْلَمْ, things that they did not know prior. Like some of you today have learned something that you didn't know yesterday. And some of you learned yesterday things you didn't know prior to that. Allah is the one who عَلَّمَ الْإِنسَانَ مَا لَمْ يَعْلَمْ, is the one that teaches. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهِ. If you fear Allah, you have the consciousness of Allah, and Allah will teach you, will educate you, and make things known to you. كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى. Here this is a kalla. In English, if you want to say kalla, the way we used to understand it would be like never that. Kalla would be never that, or never. Some of the ulama, the mufassirun, say since there is nothing that they can see as a negation, this would mean haqqan. The reality is. But that doesn't step away from the how that word is used. Never would be like how you would say it in English. Never. It's not going to be, because innal insana la yatgha. Man ain't going to do what he's told. He never's going to do what he's told, because the fact of the matter is inna and la, those are two ta'keed. For inna is a ta'keed and la is a ta'keed. Like you see, walas, innal insana la fi khus. For the la is there tied to the inna. So right here you say, Kalla inna linsana la yatgha. And a tagha is tagha al-ma. When the water gets so high, it spills over. Everybody knows what happened in what is that thing? St. Louis, right? Huh? New Orleans, okay? I think it's St. Louis, Senegal. in New Orleans, I'm sorry. In New Orleans, when the water got up big and it spilled up all over the place, right? There was nothing they could do. There was nothing, because the water messed up everything. So that concept of water messing everything up, even after it was gone, the fungus came and they couldn't use anything of their houses or anything like that, right? So either as a person, tagha, he's exceeded the limit to the fact so far that he's gone past beyond bound time. He's exceeded the head, the extent that he's supposed to do. Come to Ijlisi. So here it talks about a person exceeding the limits. He's past that. He's past the point where he should have not passed. And it says this happens to his head. How come it happens? And ra'ahu staghna. When he sees himself self-sufficient. Istagna, ista in front of a word means to seek to do something. If you want the ghafar of Allah, you say what? Astaghfirullah. You're seeking. It means tahawul also, to change something into something else. Like we say, siratul mustaqim, the path that'll straighten you out, that'll make you qiyaman, right? But here, istaghna is to seek to do that thing. Like astaghfirullah, I'm seeking the ghafar, or the concealment and the cover of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here, an ra'ahu staghna is that he sees himself. It's like the word istakbara. Someone who is kabura is big and great. Mustakbir is one who sees himself big, but he's really not big. Istagna, and ra'ahu stagna, is that he sees himself ghani. And Allah is ghani. And ghani, it means free. It means free, that he doesn't need anybody. And that's what we would say in English, that he's rich. The concept of being rich is that you're not in need of anything or anybody. So he sees himself istagna, and the ulama talk about ra'ya nas, people that see something, they can either see correctly, sit up straight, sit up straight. He either sees correctly or he sees incorrectly. And most people are in delusion. They see themselves, they walk past the mirror, they suck in their stomach, they see themselves as they're, oh yeah, you know. But really it's their belly sticking out. You know, they don't want to see themselves in the correct light. The mirror is lined, all that mirror is a little dusty, you know, like that. So you have to see yourself correctly. The person in sin, he exceeds the limit because he sees himself free of Allah. And how can he be free of Allah when Allah is the one who created him and Allah is the one that teaches him those things that he does not know, that he didn't know? Then it says, Inna ila rabbika ruj'a. Here is a warning for this position right here. Okay? Here, Inna ila rabbika ruj'a. It's like saying to you, the fact is that you are returning back to Allah. You have ruj'a, you have marji'. This is the thing. You're inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Allah teaches us in the Quran that somebody, إِذَا أَصَابَهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا, if something happens to them that they didn't like, they broke their arm or they didn't like something, you know, Allah says, He's وَلَنَبْلَوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. He says that He's testing you without no doubt. He's testing all of us with fear, hunger, a decrease in our wealth. We lost the fruits of our efforts. We did everything right. And at the end of it, remember, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, that we're returning back to Allah. We were created by Allah and return to that. That is a tafsir for this, because He says He created us. Okay? And He taught us what we don't know. And He says, inna ila rabbika ruj'a. Fa inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We are in fact turning back. But there's a story behind here. The first 5 of these ayah, when it stops, allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam, that was revealed in the mountain of Hira. That stops right there. Afterwards, the Prophet used to go and prostrate, and the rest of it was revealed in Mecca afterwards. When it starts off, Kalla, inna al-insana la yatgha, it's referring first and foremost to Fir'aun hadhihi al-ummah. The Fir'aun of this ummah, his name is Abu Jahl. And Abu Jahl, he came to the people and he said, does Muhammad come over here and dust his face, prostrating in front of y'all, bayna adhurukum, around you, right in front of your faces or behind your backs right here, and y'all don't do nothing? Well, yo, by Lat and Uzza, I swear, this is what he says, I swear by Lat and Uzza, if I saw him prostrating, dust in his face, I stomp his neck and it really put some dust on his face. This is what Abu Jahl said. And it reminds me, because we knew these 5%ers when I was coming up, and there's one guy, we used to call him Off Righteous, but his name was Puerto Rican Righteous. He accepted Islam, and he came to prostrate and pray with us for Salat. And one of his 5%er friends came over and said, oh, yo, Righteous, you going to put your crown on the ground? You going to put dust on your crown? Meaning his face and stuff like that. So when I heard what Abu Jahl said, that same ignorance is what this person was saying. That if he saw the Prophet ﷺ prostrate, he can't do that around me. I'm going to stomp him in his face and really dust his face. And some of those Aryan people, you see they do in some of these states, in Washington State, they were known for making people put their face on the ground and stomping them on their face to break their nose and jaw. Is what some of the stuff they used to do. So Abu Jahl has this same mindset. And so Allah says to him, Kalla, inna al-insana la yatgha. This guy, he's exceeding the limit. He's going too far. Ar-ra'ahu staghna, because he sees himself free. He don't need nothing. So when the Prophet heard that he said that, he stepped to him. The Prophet ﷺ stepped to him and got up in his face. And so he says to the Prophet, Abu Jahl says to the Prophet, what you gonna say to me? He said, Bima hadadani. You know, what you gonna threaten me with, Muhammad ﷺ? This is what Abu Jahl said. You know, ain't nobody in this whole valley, he's talking about the valley of Mecca, got more people that they can call than me. I got more rijal than anybody. This thing is beeping. He says, I got more men than anybody else here. Can nobody... Okay, I must have hit something. He said, can nobody call more people than me? I got aktharu nadiyan, rijal and nadiyan. I can call more people than anybody here. So what you going to threaten me with? This is what he says to him. Okay? And this is similar to what Bush and Rumsfeld and all these other people say. We're going to call the UN Council, and we're going to call this country, we're going to call that country, and we're going to come and we're going to kill all the people in this way and that. So then it goes on. It says, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يَنْهَى. Have you seen the one who yanha, who prevents? Because he stepped to the Prophet ﷺ and said, don't let me never see you prostrating here again. Don't do it. Abadan idha salla, the slave when he's offering his salah. And the slave here refers to Muhammad or anybody else who's been told they can't pray no more. Okay? He says, if when it is a salah, if that person, if the Prophet ﷺ, this thing went off, bro. Here you go. So